Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. Welcome. So I managed not to be able to do an August wrap up or like favorites video, and I kind of wanted to make sure to do a September one. In all honesty, the last 2 months have kind of just glommed together in a really odd way, and I just felt like, I mean, lots of things have happened, but when grief is involved, it tends to make everything kind of a wash. It's hard to focus in on any one particular thing. And it's just not been an easy time. But I mean, I think it's like that for everybody. And especially, I mean, we could get into it. It's never a competition to see like who's suffering the most, right? But it's there's a lot of it out there at the moment. Let's be real. And sometimes when I'm just needing to deal with right, with all of that, I kind of have to retreat. So I've done a bit of that over the last couple of months as a result. So wow, it just was a really full month. So just like on a personal level, the personal updates, I'll try and put those towards the end of the video. I think I'll do that. At the moment, I'll just go through here's some of my favorite things that I found or that came up or that were part of my month. So for I would say like the end of August through the whole month or most of the month of September, something that was a really significant part of my practice and my world on a daily basis was once again the runes. And having said that, I just realized that I left one of the really important sets of runes that I've been working with in my bag. I'm just going to grab that. Just when you think you have it all together. I've been meaning for a long time to find these a better, bag to put them in. But honestly, this has worked fine. It's not ideal, but it functions the way it needs to. I have a set of runes that are made of ruby kyanite, and I absolutely love them. So they're like a blue-green with like pink in them, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and I completely love them. And so, yeah, I've been working with this particular set of runes. It's only the Elder Futhark. There are no Anglo-Saxon Futhark in here at all. It's just the Elder Futhark. And bringing them with me, I have them in my backpack that I bring with me to work every day, and so forth. So really diving back into the runes has been, it came up actually around about a week before Noah died. Maybe even just a few days. It was maybe 3 days before he passed, as a matter of fact, now that I recall, because I made a lot of notes about this. But I had sort of an amazing message, I guess, if you will. Some of you will remember that like the beginning of 2020, before all of this, the COVID stuff hit and the pandemic came up, I was doing a lot with urban runes and like found runes on the sidewalks and on our walks together and so forth. And I don't think I'd recognized the degree to which that practice had evolved and what it had evolved into. But right before Noah passed, part of the way I understood, like, really honoring his memory and honoring our life, his life, our lives together, was through really writing about that and writing about that practice and working more deeply with the runes and with just the landscape and the intersection of nature and what we as human beings have done with it, which also is a part of like climate change and the way that we feel about the environment around us and the kinds of things that it triggers for us and so forth. So there's been a lot of coming back to that, being with that, writing about that, that's been really beautiful and exciting. And yeah, there will be more to tell about it as time goes by, but suffice it to say for the moment, really what has happened is a desire to connect more deeply with the runes. So I've been working with those. I've also been pulling out my Telluric Runes by Lunaria Gold. It's a really, dare I say, overpriced deck. I mean, her work is beautiful, but in all honesty, as much as I love the deck, I really feel like it's overpriced. Even, you know, despite how gorgeous it is. So these are matte finish. There's no edging on them. They are really beautiful. And I do get a lot out of her choices. You know, the choice of what rock or stone or crystal she uses and what plant she combines it with and what her reasoning behind that is have been really, I don't know, I learn something new from that all the time. I guess as my knowledge of the runes and experience of them really increases, the more I find her work useful in terms of just understanding better. So I've been working with this deck quite a bit, and really enjoying it. I do love it. It's very, very good. The guidebook is pretty straightforward. There's a sketch of the, black and white sketch, and then, the keywords, and then her choice of tulip and fulgurite, which is a stone created from a lightning strike to sand. Isn't that amazing? It's very fragile, but I love them. They're wonderful. Just looking at mine to see if something happened to it. It feels like something changed about it. Anyway, they're fragile. Things can break off of them easily. Okay. The third rune deck that I worked with and found really helpful once again because of knowledge and wisdom and so forth applied is one of Nina's. So a lot of you will be, does anybody not know Nina? Nina Riel. So this is her Rune Spirals deck, and it does include, as you can see, I think all of her, I did separate out the Anglo-Saxon Futhark because I'm trying to work with it and learn it and understand it better. So it does include the Anglo-Saxon, and then of course the Elder Futhark is here too, and Moon. There's lunar phases. So her knowledge and insight into the use of the deck, the meanings are on here. The elements are on here as well. The colors indicate the elements. It's just really helpful. It's just really, really helpful. Sometimes I'm not always drawing my runes from this deck, but just like working with her definitions, keywords, etc., and associations. So the book is beautiful too. I believe these are still available on Make playing cards. I know her Ratty runes are. I also have the Ratty runes. I haven't been able to work with the Ratty runes for a while because I'm just not there yet. I couldn't work with a dog-based deck right now. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I'd probably work with a dog-based deck right now pretty nicely because I'm desperately missing dog. Not just Noah, but like dog energy and canine companionship are really, it's really hard to be without that right now. But anyway, her book is marvelous and it's concise, and she manages to pack a lot of associations and information into it. So it's a really great resource if you're looking for one. Let's see. Additionally, I love this book. I've just loved this book. This is one of my favorites all time. It's kind of a little destroyed because it got something spilled on it a while back. And I write and scribble and highlight in it a lot, but it's a really great resource if you're looking for a resource for runes and just an experienced rune worker's ability to talk about them. Amazing resource. So again, highly recommend. I'm sure this has been in one of my favorite videos, but before. She also includes the Anglo-Saxon Futhark in here. So if you are an Anglo-Saxon Futhark reader, it's another good one. There's all kinds of really wonderful spreads that she includes as well. Yeah, it's a remarkable resource. So I have kept it with me as I've been drawing the runes daily at work, which has been kind of a pretty sweet practice, as well as finding them, seeing them, etc. And it comes and goes, right? It was really intense at the end of August, really intense beginning of September. Toward the end of September, I've been kind of drawing back from it a little bit because I've drawn back from a lot of things towards the end of the month out of necessity. So, it's hard to know always where to put one's attention, isn't it? It can be. So, alongside the runes, something I've also been enjoying again, given this is a depth year, I keep them in this sweet little box because they fit perfectly in here. So this is one that people who've been around since I started the channel will remember. For the rest of you, you'll be like, what? This is the Tree Spirit Oracle. And I absolutely love this deck. When I came back to working with Tarot and Oracle again, this was among the first items that I purchased. It comes with a teeny tiny little book. So it's by Simon H. Lilly. And that is also the backing of the cards, although I believe it's changed now because he's got a newer edition or version of the cards that's available now. There's a really fabulous book that accompanies it as well. You've got 2 full pages like this for each card, plus all the different ways that you can use dice to do the divination and so on. But each of the trees in the deck has a glyph, has a different message and a way of speaking. There was a point in time where I had almost gotten this one memorized, but that's been a very good long while ago indeed. I did find it came back pretty naturally to me though. The messages are beautiful. I feel like the cards are beautiful. I think sometimes that you can get more of a hit from a glyph and a few key words than you can sometimes from, pictures and so forth. So the abstract nature of this deck is something that attracts me because I feel it connects me more like to the energy of the tree itself and of what that tree is saying in a way that just seeing an image of the tree or an interpretation of the tree would not, if that makes any sense. Because I perceive the energy of a tree, I often do perceive it through colors, shapes, and a feeling that comes around that I can't always translate into a color or shape very easily. So, always with this deck, when I work with it, the hits are very specific and very clear. They frequently also, of course, Simon Lilly does a lot with runes as well. So his deck works beautifully alongside a runic practice. So combining those together more deeply has been beautiful. In terms of decks that I've worked with, and I'm just doing favorites, not every deck that I worked with, because I can go on for a year about all of this, is the Tarot of the Sidhe. I have to take all of its layers off. Love this deck. Have always loved this deck since it fell into my hands. It's easily one of my favorites. It continues to be. I realize when I pick it up and read with it frequently that I don't always. I'm constantly surprised by the cards. I feel like I see something new in them every time. It has a way of kind of doing that, but it also has a beautiful way of connecting. Connecting with the Sidhe, and that is also something. I struggle with it because it feels weird, and at the same time, it's very natural. So it's the time of year when they start really, really being chatty. So I have been working with it quite a bit, and carrying it with me most places. So if there is an opportunity to read or a need to read or pull cards, I have it with me. So yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one. Again, it's a Schiffer deck. It's an oldie but goodie. I think it's one of their sort of like classic decks or whatever. Ooh, another favorite that has come to the fore is the Urban Crow Oracle. So I got this I don't remember. I got it last year, I think. I think it was last year. I don't remember that I worked with it quite a bit at the time I got it. I think I was knee deep in working with my end of life client and family. So these are the backs. This has been an amazing deck to work. Oh, look at that. Oh, mimicry, yeah. Ooh, that one hits me today. It's the German Shepherd in there. Yeah, it's just a really good deck. A really, really good deck. It's deep. It's got, again, we're looking at the influence of nature on an urban environment and vice versa. So it's the intersection of nature and an urban environment. And I'm always fascinated by the ways in which nature finds a way to thrive despite the things that we do. And crows are a part of that. So this one is, I've used it a lot with readings, like at the end of a reading for a client, or just to kind of grab a, like I feel kind of weird, I just want to grab a card and see what's up, and it's beautiful. So here's the guidebook. It is really well done and very concise. It's just alphabetical order. There's no numbers. It's beautiful. I haven't been using it with the Urban or with the Crow Tarot. I have the Crow Tarot. I haven't used it as much as I thought I would right now, but I have been using the Guardian of the Night, and this one has gone, it just works beautifully with the Urban Crow Oracle. So Guardian of the Night, you know, it's one of her animal-based tarots. It's one of the most beautiful decks I have ever had the pleasure of working with. You can tell that I had it out not that long ago, choosing significators for a female querent, and then chose a different, ended up using a different deck, I think. I think we ended up picking a different one. But before reading, I'll often pull out all of the possible, you know what I'm saying, before doing a general reading. So anyway, yeah, this one is a pretty exceptional deck. Yeah. So this one has gone beautifully with the Urban Crow Tarot. They have a similar kind of, they're made by the same publisher. They have a really nice buttery feel and nice smell. They always smell good. And then towards the end of the month, I was very fortunate, and I will have videos coming out about this. They're just not out yet. They're filmed, they're just not edited. They're just not edited. So at the end of the month, or towards the end of the month, or mid-month, I can't even remember at this point, but in September, two of my viewers, who are a mother and daughter pair, sent me the most wonderful care package, so that I could run around, so that I could go around my house and perform a clearing and an energy clearing. And inside the care package was two Tibetan-based decks. One of them I already had a copy of, which is the Tibetan Buddhist meditation deck. But the copy that I had was missing, I think I counted it's 2 cards. And it didn't have a guidebook, and the cards were all kind of schmuckery. So I remember when I received them, I had to kind of go through and like wipe them all down. And thankfully they're plasticized, so that was not a horrific process or anything, but it was kind of like, oh, this one was brand new. So I have really enjoyed having the new version of this deck to work with. So it comes with 4 suits, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So some of the cards have Tara on them. Some of the cards have a Buddha on them. Some of them have, oh shoot, I'm going to forget this particular protector. Virudaka, who's a guardian king against the Lord of Death. So some of those have him on there, and then I think these are Amitabha. I think they're Compassionate Wind. No, that's Tara. Yeah, Amitayas or Amitabha. So they all have those, and then they have on the backings there are quotes from very different Tibetan practitioners and teachers and so forth throughout the ages. Then on the inside of the deck, and I've just kept this because it's so nice, you know, and my other deck doesn't have that. But there is a really lovely like frame, and you can put your quote of the day or the deity inside the frame and just have it there to look at. So what I ended up doing, because I don't want to risk getting this copy of it schmucked up, is I took the other copy, the old copy that had been cleaned and so forth, with me to work, so that I have one there and I have one at home. And it's been so grounding because I can pick a card in the morning. Although what I've been doing, because I'm still studying them and kind of getting to know what is meant by each of the 4 categories, I've been keeping them in order and then just taking a breath, you know, picking it up. Okay, this is the one, or the one that's on the bottom, and then just putting them back into that section at the end of the day. So they're technically out of order, but they're still in their divided sections, if that makes sense, as I work with them. That has been so grounding and beautiful. And I think, too, it's just the idea that someone, you know, they were a gift. I don't know what it is with gifts. But, you know, when somebody gives you something, there's an energy to it. There's a gratitude for the item, and it's beautiful. The other one that she gifted me with is the Tibetan Buddhism deck. And so this is Sarah from the page, is it in the Water Child Tarot. And this is 36 meditation cards, beautiful box, that are, and I really like the way they did this, although I will admit I struggle to read it without glasses. But, you know, and this one I have been shuffling, but it's there's Machig. It's got all of these wonderful paintings and images from tankas and so forth in it, of different Tibetan deities, teachers, historical figures, etc. And it's absolutely wonderful. And then on the backs, you get, oh, there's Amitayas again. On the back, you get, you know, information about that particular deity, and then a message. So for this one, so there's Amitayas. Look upon an object without thinking, then slowly withdraw your eyes and remember the essence. Wow, what was I was just saying about that, about trees. Gosh, that's really my favorite way of taking things in, honestly. I'd rather not have to think much, but the living in the world means you do. At any rate, big sigh. Beautiful. Not surprising, it's the Padma family. I have a lot of energy from that particular Tibetan family. But at any rate, these have been beautiful. This is a deck that has been on my wish list for a very long time. And I think, oh, I'll go ahead and get it. And then go, oh, no, I'll leave it alone or whatever. And by the end of the year last year, I had been pulled in so many different directions about, like, get this deck, don't get that deck, and so on, that I was overcome, you know, and suddenly had all of these decks and all of these Kickstarters that hadn't finished. And it's been a relief, to be honest, to have like a year to just process what's here, look at it. I've moved on several decks that I've realized I'm not probably ever going to work with that one again, which has also been kind of a relief. So there we go. But this one I've been taking to work with me every day. It's in my it lives in my backpack and comes with me to work every day. So what a blessing, and thank you so much. I will have more to say about these at some point, for sure. But they're suffice it to say, they've been a real blessing and very grounding since I got them. Similarly, let's see. I think I'll do these two things next because they're related. So another big favorite this month has been this Tibetan Juniper incense. I'll put a link to where you can purchase some below in case you're someone who just likes incense. I mean, I think we all do, right? Oh, just the smell. It is it comes with a little guy. It comes with a little holder guy. And I think this is the one I've been using because the strings are all loose. But it comes in these very, Tibetan incense is often very thick and very concentrated. But it is actual juniper that has been dried, ground up, and made into a stick. I mean, it really, it just smells. You're basically burning fresh juniper, but in a very refined incense. Let's see. What does it say on here? Yeah, it's a medicinal. It says, according to Ayurveda, juniper has played a major medicinal role in the treatment of many contagious diseases. Juniper was burnt to scare off witches or demons. Juniper clears, stimulates, and strengthens the nerves. It purifies the atmosphere and has a calming effect for the overstressed, and it's also good for PMT, which is PMS for those of us living in the United States. Perfectly safe for the inhalation and environment. So, yeah, it's gorgeous. And I needed this incense to perform my Lasang ritual ceremony. And so this was also a gift from Sarah and from Nancy. So, yeah, become one of my favorite things. So I don't only just burn it for that ceremony. I found that sometimes I just want it. It's also, I mean, it seems to be very good, like a great replacement for, say, working with a smudge stick, right, or sage, or, which is a closed practice among Native Americans. So, those of us who have finally figured that out and are trying to find other botanicals to work with in the same fashion that perhaps you were using sage or Palo Santo, which is killing the rainforests in Brazil, and therefore not really a good idea to keep purchasing and using. Juniper is a really, really powerful option. This stuff will clear out pretty much anything. I'll be doing a house spirit update at some point, and I'll talk more about it. But suffice it to say, I'm totally converted. It's now my favorite. Oh, okay. My other favorite, you may have noticed behind me, or you may not, that there is the usual 3 statues that are here. We have the, large, medium, and extra small, which is Machik. Behind Machik, over her shoulder, there is now a second Tara. And I don't know if anybody noticed that or not, but so there's another Tara. So I can explain. Right before the full moon, I had just put a bunch of listings onto Facebook Marketplace or something, and was going back through Facebook Marketplace because, of course, you finish putting your listings in, and what do? They take you back and give you recommendations of here's some more things that you could look at and you might be interested in, right? Among them was a listing for a decorative Buddha for $5. Folks, I felt like I just won the lottery, honestly. I just couldn't believe I couldn't believe it. So, suffice it to say, the first thing I did was immediately contact the person and say, is this, because of course that's what they make you do, is this still available? And just said, I'd be very happy to come and pick it up right away. And I did. I went, the person accepted, and I went and got it. I couldn't believe the luck. Okay. So here she is. And I'll perhaps in here put a picture of how she looked in on the ad. But she's such a beautiful Tara. And she's made of brass. And of course, this is a traditional, like a Tibetan, ritual statue. It's not a decorative statue. I have decorative statues. You're looking at one right back there because my sort of Shakyamuni Amitabha Buddha that's right back there is actually from Target. Would you believe it? Or it may have been from Marshall's. It was from a store. It is a decorative Buddha. I probably paid anywhere from $15 to $20 for that Buddha, and it's worth every penny. I have a habit of adopting Buddha statues that are labeled decorative in stores and enshrining them at home, in my yard, in someone else's yard, at my parents' house, etc., and offering them things when I go there. So, yeah, that's the difference. The difference with a ritual statue like this one is to be found in the bottom, and I'll tell you why. So when you flip them upside down, normally this would be covered, but inside there is space to place usually some kind of a scroll and some herbs that would go through the spine of the statue, and then some other ritual items that are then sealed into the base of the statue. When it's consecrated appropriately. Unfortunately, this one, she is missing the bottom piece, the metal that would go under here, which is really not a big deal because that could easily be cut and replaced, right? And she could therefore then be reconsecrated. My guess is that somebody probably practiced at some point somewhere locally. They died, the family sold everything, whoever got the statue was like, oh, when I shake it, there's a sound. I wonder what, oh, look, the bottom's removable. Ew, what's all this weird witchcraft stuff in here that's creepy? Took it out, threw it away, got rid of the bottom and thought, well, we'll just make it decorative or we could sell it that way, something like that, right? So that's probably how she became a decorative statue. But either way, I mean, I thought my Tara that I have here on who's about the same size, my green Tara back there, I thought she was a bargain, right? At like $75 or $80, somewhere in there. Because it was really, really hard to find, it was hard to find a reasonably priced statue that also had I don't know, Thich Nhat Hanh agrees with me on this one, thankfully. But you want to choose a Buddha that has a nice face that you can relate to somehow because it's pleasant, or feels peaceful. And my green Tara's statue, there she is, has a really lovely face. And so I love her for that. Look at this one's face. It's just as lovely, right? Difference too. Those of you who study this, probably maybe just Nancy, some others maybe too. If you look, she is not doing this mudra, which is there we go, the refuge mudra. With her would be other side, do it with her, would be her left hand, right? So her left hand is not doing that one, it's doing the teaching mudra. Similarly, this hand is not doing the offering mudra, it's offering teachings mudra, I think. So this would be a teaching Tara, or she's not a green Tara, she's a different Tara. She's not a white Tara because white Taras, and I happen to have a white Tara enshrined over here that was cast. It is technically a decorative statue, but it was made and cast by an artist. But white Tara always has her feet, both of her feet, in a meditation posture. But a green Tara and many of the other 21 Taras, if you do a 21 Tara practice, nearly always have their right foot on, coming off of their main lotus and onto a little one that's popped up, because they're available to us right away. So she was available to me right away. And I think I brought her home, and then maybe the next day or two, I washed her. Like I got, she's had a very thorough bathing. She's been cleaned really carefully. With like a little toothbrush to get into all the crevices and things, and yeah, washed really carefully. And then I consecrated her and purified her and blessed her through the Juniper ritual that I did, the lasang. So she's there in the window. I don't know if she's going to stay there or if I'll move her someplace else. I've contemplated shifting the Shakyamuni Buddha elsewhere in the home, although I seem to have several others in other places in the house, and theoretically I really should have a Shakyamuni in here. I do also have a Shakyamuni sitting on my desk, so they're everywhere. We love the Shakyamuni. But I don't have Taras everywhere. And I definitely feel the need to have her. I love her energy. I'm really into this statue. Really, really, really into her. So I'm gonna go put her back. Okay, so she's back. She's back in her little spot there now. But she's so beautiful. I love her. So so that was really exciting. That was one of those little finds where I just never thought I would have such a good fortune to find something like that. Something I've been meaning to talk about but have not is that throughout August and September, I think I mentioned this before, I've been definitely working with a pendulum. So this is one that I found on Amazon. I hope I remember. If I do, I'll put the link down below. Sometimes its chain gets a little kinked, but it's got a little sun charm at the top, which I just liked. And then, this nice heavier pendulum. I think it's plated. I'm pretty sure this is a gold plated or something. Not really that expensive, and it's a really accurate, really good pendulum to work with. So I have been working with this one a lot. I have not been working with pendulums in a very traditional way, however. In terms of what I was kind of brought up doing within the greater whatever woo community, right? The way I was taught to use pendulums was yes, no, like show me yes, show me no, and to use it for yes, no questions. What I've actually begun to find through doing greater research, because I've never had luck with that. It has never worked well for me. It has never been consistent. Past one reading, maybe two, and even then I often get conflicting and strange readings from them. The minute I discovered working a little bit differently with a pendulum, everything opened up, and it has been really remarkable. So the way I work with a pendulum, and I maybe will have to do a longer video on this if people are interested, is through charts. And I've been keeping all of these charts in a folder. I'll probably have to put them in a binder at some point. But, I found a guy online who does different, shows you to use different shapes. You just hold the pendulum still and let the pendulum indicate the shape or the direction, or the spiral or the circle, but you make the circle a little bit off. Where is it over here? So that it doesn't make a perfect circular pattern. It actually has to find the pattern of that kind of, ovoid shape. So that was the first exercise I did. Then the same video guy, and I'll put the link below because I kept his video. It was really good. Was to look at I forgot the name of the scale. Maybe while I'm editing, I'll remember to put it below. But working with different levels of consciousness, which is beautiful. You can have an item in front of you and ask what is the level of consciousness of this particular item, and it will show you. It's beautiful, and from there, you can divine about all kinds of different things. You can use the pendulum to divine for a lot. I started by working with things that were simple, where I knew what the answer was because I just wanted to see how accurately it would behave, and then I've moved on to other things. There's a website that exists that does free charts, and I grabbed an account for, it's called the Bovis scale. That's what it is, the Bovis scale. That was what I was using first. It's like, I thought I wrote it at the bottom. There it is. So the Bovis scale was the second thing that I learned or worked with. Fascinating thing to work with. And of course, then, you know, energy draining entities, that was a chart. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do that. Sources of an energy drain, right? Where is that energy drain coming from that you feel? These are not ones that I made up. These are all ones that came from different things, for different creators on that particular site. There's percentages, right? What percent is XYZ, this or that? You know, it leaves, you have to really be careful about how you phrase your questions, of course, because then it affects everything. Here's an example of one I made, right? That's got a number of different meditations or practices that I do. You know, if I'm not sure which one is most useful or necessary at a particular moment, this is a great way of divining that. Yeah, I mean, I found it to be useful for a lot. So, and it's very heart-opening. When I work with it, it feels like it really depends on heart energy, or it opens the heart in order to, you know, work with that level of energy. It's a beautiful practice. So I was hoping to get in to work with a particular teacher this month to take, or last month to take one of her classes, and I really just couldn't afford it. Just was not in the books. So I let go of that. I now could afford it if I wanted to do it, but unfortunately the class has already started. And I'll take it again later. It'll be okay. So, oh, and one final thing I did one kind of fun artwork thing this month that I'm so excited to share. I just gotta. I made this book. So first I'll say it's a book. And I made it, and it is made of mostly recycled things. And it now holds all of my different tarot spreads and little, you know, cheat sheets and things that I work with, right? So when I'm doing a general reading, there are days where my brain just doesn't function, or a deck is a little different, something throws me, and I can't remember what a particular, you know, where a card falls. So there's my cheat sheet. Yeah, and then I've got my little Crohn's Bones cheat sheet in there too, because occasionally, again, you know, you just knowing that it's there makes me feel secure, if that makes sense. But I made this thing, I'll just put that back in later. I made it from, these are file folders. And what I did was I took, I think, 3 file folders and just folded them up the middle. You can kind of see where the line is. And then fold them in half and then cut them to size. So I decided what size I wanted. And then obviously I stitched them together. So they were stitched like this. I like leaving the little tails on there. I don't know why, I just always have. I like things that are a little bit not perfect and a little messy. That's just, you know, that look like someone lived there. But, so there's that. And then, yeah. And then I made the cover. So the cover is made from a fabric that you can still get right now. It is at JoAnn Fabrics. There are people selling it for super expensive on Etsy. You can go that route if you want to support someone. Or you can go to the JoAnn Fabrics website and purchase it there. You can customize the fabric pattern to different types of fabric. So if you wanted something besides just quilting cotton and you wanted instead to work with silk or satin or linen or something, you can have it printed that way. But I just thought that was too fun not to get some, and I decided to use it to make my little folder book for all of my tarot spreads. So how exciting. So now they have a home. Instead of just being like a clump of cards that I put a rubber band around and carry with me, now I have a little book to put them in. So for personal stuff over the last 2 months, obviously my dog passed away. Living without the dog has been really hard, like a lot harder than I expected it would be. I really expected that I would be like happy to have that space and that break. and that it would suit me and so forth. And instead, what I've been feeling is like I just miss him horribly. The last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, while I've been waiting for some things to arrive that I'm using for my writing practice, I got away from really engaging the grief process and the more the kind of resolution process through writing, and working on this project that I started. And it just got to be really hard. And I found myself like looking online at dogs all the time, thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get another dog, or maybe I should set a goal for getting one in a year. But then look at all these dogs, but I really miss them, but I really wish I were still able to go out on walks late at night, but I don't feel safe going on walks late at night without a dog, all of those things. And plus just missing Noah, you get this perfect companion, and they're only there for like 10 or 12 years. Like, why? Why can't they live a long, long time? And be with us? But then, I don't know, humans are so good at abusing them in the first place. So, this kind of segues into it, but I have 2 new doula clients as well that popped up almost right immediately. Would have been one popped up just before the full moon, and one popped up just after it. So it was just like boom, boom, and suddenly, whoa! I'm in the thick of it with 2 new clients. Neither of them have someone that's imminently dying. They're longer term clients, probably in a really healthy, good way. I think, where I'm not really that involved with them on a regular basis, but we do check in once a week. And there's been a lot of extra research and things that I've been doing for them. But the first one that came up has forgot to mention that they had a dog before I came over. So as I pulled pulled up in the driveway and got out of the car, the client's partner said, I really hope it's okay. We have a large dog. And I forgot to ask if you're okay with dogs. And of course, I was just like, oh my gosh, you have a dog. Oh my gosh. So it turns out their dog is a Great Pyrenees. And I have a huge space in my heart for that breed. I have no idea why. I just always have. And in fact, I was going to get one before I got Noah. But then because I wear black a lot, and I at that time wore black to work every day, I realized that it probably was not practical. And then I found out how hard it can be to adopt, to get black dogs adopted. So, and I didn't know that Noah was my dog necessarily. I just knew he was my dog. I don't know how to explain it. And it was immediate. And the first time I called him his actual name, he knew who he was. So his name just kind of popped into my head one day while I was driving. And I thought, oh, his name's Noah. And I'd made lists and lists and lists of dogs, or dog names. And suddenly it was just like, oh, that's his name. And so when they came to drop him off at the house, they said, do you have a new name for him? And I said, yes, I'm going to call him Noah. And at that time, he'd been sniffing around the house, and he immediately turned and looked at me. So he knew right away that was his name. It was really beautiful. But back to the Great Pyrenees, I thought that was really interesting. And it was on the month anniversary. It was on the 1 month anniversary. And I thought, wow, that's right. I was going to get a Great Pyrenees. And I thought, a rescue one. There were quite a few available in Chicago when I lived there at that time. But when I went and met them and walked them, none of them, they weren't my dog. The ones that I walked weren't my dog. So in addition to the black clothing and white fur, debate, which is kind of a moot point anymore because the little booger back here in the window is actually a black smoke cat. So if you pull his fur apart and look towards his skin, it's white. So when he sheds, it sheds white and gray. Is that not? It's a weird kind of physics thing there. And then Marty, who sheds like crazy, and it's light colored fur. So, we're already in that place. So that in Missouri, the problem is worse. There are a lot of Great Pyrenees dogs that are abandoned. The problem is I don't have a fenced-in backyard. I have a backyard, but it is not fenced. So I've already started thinking about how to do that really inexpensively and maybe setting that as a goal over the next year. I just don't know. But I miss dogs, and I miss my dog. Yeah, so that's been tough. Yeah, that's kind of it. It was hard. The end of last month was tough. It got like right around that full moon. The energy was just so high. I had so much energy, and yet I'd be like boom, 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 boom for like 12 hours a day. And then the second 12 hours of the day just drop. I wonder if that's to do with the equinox too. I kind of hit an equal point at around that time. That's weird. I wonder if if those two things were connected, because it's resolved itself again, and I'm not over sleeping or overtired, but right around that point, yeah, I would say I almost was like out and exhausted for about 12 hours a day and sleeping most of that. But equally, when I was up and awake, I was like, I'm up, I'm awake, I'm going, let's do this. And really high energy. So I don't know that I've ever noticed that before, but I might make note of that as like, look at that, look how that came out, and see if those are related at all. But it made it very challenging to go through doing that full moon ritual with the house clearing, because I was I was fighting through the exhaustion to get it done. And just, yeah, like trying to stay on top of all of the different tasks and things I'd set myself suddenly became very challenging. So, but it has resolved. It has resolved. I think that's about it. I think that's about all of the, like, really, like, anything much I have to say. How bad is the time? It's bad. But anyway, those are the main personal updates. Yeah, I think I'll probably end up sharing more about the projects I'm working on once I've gotten a little further with them. But I don't feel like I'm there yet. But it involves a lot of writing. So, and a lot of artwork, bringing more artwork and like, potentially like objects that I make or work that I create that can be sold, that will have some use as magical objects as well. So, yeah. But it's all kind of in the works, you know what I mean? I'm kind of keeping the lid on until I know how that's all going to come out, and or get told this is how this is all going to go. Because sometimes that happens too. So, all right, friends. Well, thank you so much if you've hung in this long. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.